dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
Hello and welcome to Liberty Nation Radio, heard coast to coast on the Radio America Network. I'm your host, Mark Angelides. On today's edition, we are examining the Russia-Ukraine war, where it stands, what's next for a peace agreement, and what might be the sticking points between Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky. Find out more as we dive right in. And you're on Liberty Nation Radio, heard coast to coast on the Radio America Network. I'm your host, Mark Angelides. We're very fortunate to have with us today Liberty Nation's national security correspondent, Mr. Dave Patterson. Thanks for being here, Dave.
Thank you, Mark. Happy to be here.
So we have to talk about Ukraine, Russia, Donald Trump, the Trilat, as Mr. Trump's calling it. This last week we saw Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky and a basket of European leaders turn up at the White House to do what exactly, Dave? What was the aim there?
Well, I think the aim was to show a solidarity with Zelensky and with President Trump in coming to closure on exactly where they're going to be. Not the specifics, not the details, because those are negotiating elements that will come out of a negotiation. But I think the solidarity with the idea that here are the steps that must take place. You know, we're in step 2. We're having the Europeans and President Zelensky and President Trump gather together to achieve some closure on at least where they are in all of this. And then phase 3 will be the apparently a bilat between Zelensky and Putin, and then a trilateral with Trump and Zelensky and Putin.
Do you think that's the order it's going to go in? It'll be bilateral and then trilateral? Because it seems to me that the Ukrainian and Russian leaders are so far apart at the moment that without something sort of to focus their like a married couple, please tell your father that his dinner is in the dog, that kind of thing. That without,
I was somewhat
think that's the
surprised
right
by
order
that, because there had been such animosity between the two. But in the Truth Social posts, that's what Trump said. Now, whether he misposted, I doubt that. I think that what his point would be that if these two can't come to some level of accommodation, the trilat is ridiculous. You know, it's just me sitting there being the referee, and I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, that makes sense. He doesn't want to be, even just from a political optics point of view, back on the domestic front. He doesn't want to be seen as the third wheel, especially as there's. And he alluded to this in the, he did more than allude to it, didn't he? He called it outright during the presser, that no matter what he does, the media and his opponents are saying this is a disaster. If he hadn't had a meeting in Alaska, he had the meeting in Alaska, so they said that was bad. If it had the meeting somewhere else, they would have said, why didn't you have it in the U.S.? It seems that he can't do, in their eyes, he can't do anything right there. But back to why the European contingent was there. Now, I as somebody who from the United Kingdom and our continental neighbors over there, the Europeans, we have a vested interest in something working out here. But there was so much internet chatter, and I think it's highly irresponsible, in fact, that prior to them actually turning up and sitting down with Trump, there was all this chatter about how they're going there to stop Donald Trump bullying Zelensky into accepting a deal that's bad for him. Now, this is for me, this is akin to, we can't have a ID to vote because black people can't figure out how to get voter identification. It's that kind of attitude. Like, President Zelensky's been waging a surprisingly effective war against one of the mightiest powers on earth for 3 years. I don't think he needs a bunch of European bureaucrats to stop him being bullied into a position. Or have I got this wrong?
No, I think that actually Secretary of State Marco Rubio dispatched that notion, I think it was on Meet the Press, where he was challenged about the bullying thing. And he said that he referred to it as media stupidity, and that the United States invited the Europeans to America. They didn't come over in order to make sure that Zelensky wasn't bullied. There was nothing of the sort. That was not the dynamic at all. If it were that, they would certainly not have had such glowing things to say about him after the meeting.
Yeah,
to a person.
Yes, to a person, it was rather that. Although it really does seem to me that a large chunk of the media is determined that President Trump has to fail, no matter what, in this. And you got all these reports saying Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni was rolling her eyes at Donald Trump. And you look at the video and you think, that's not what happened. Who are these people, and what is this lens through which they're viewing the world? It must be difficult for them to get out of bed and drink a cup of water in the morning.
Well, it's the Trump derangement syndrome, and it is a thing.
That's
and if she rolled her eyes, and the words that came out of her mouth were totally disconsonant.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the European leaders, they seem to think that it was a positive, as you say, a phase 2. So what is phase 3?
Well, again, phase 3 is the
sorry, yeah, of course, the bilat and the trilateral, but if it happens in that order. But what kind of things are they looking to nail down? Because I think everybody's now pretty much agreed that based on what President Trump said, that the idea of a ceasefire is probably not going to be beneficial, right?
I think that's right. I think that and he explained that as well when he was asked about that by the press, and he said that he had gone beyond that now that it's time for actual peace negotiations. And remember, he also said that he has negotiated 6 peace agreements, none of which had a ceasefire.
It's funny. The day after I was, for my sins, obviously as part of my research, I have to go on to X and the social media accounts, and there's so many people just saying six peace deals. Has he lost his mind? What's he talking about? And then, of course, people are just posting here the 6 peace deals that he's been involved in since the beginning of his second term, and it's almost as though half of the world does not know what's actually happening outside of the big hotspots. Like, well, we know about Ukraine and Russia, we know about Israel and Gaza, and besides that, they have no idea that there are conflicts waging throughout the world and have been for decades. It's like they have no idea that these things even exist.
Azar who?
Yeah. Azar who? He's the guy who runs the chicken shop down the road, right? Azar. Why do you think people are so? And let's be fair, there used to be this thing about how America it's like a worldwide stereotype that America's very insular, that they don't know what's going. Sure. To some degree, but there's this idea that they have no idea what's going on in the outside world, and that was directed at the political right, very much so. The George W. Bush party, they've got no idea. George Bush doesn't know a thing. The boy Bush doesn't know a thing about what's going on in the outside world. And it was the liberal left. They were the ones who, they've got a very internationalist outlook, and they know what's happening around the world. But now it seems that at least those who support the political left and the liberal mindset, as it were, they're the ones that really haven't got a clue what's going on outside of the big 2 or 3 topics that the media seem to focus on. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because they don't want to. Because if they start to look at it, they're going to start to see that Trump is effective, that he isn't this bozo real estate mogul who doesn't know anything about world affairs. He's actually very keen on what's going on and demonstrates it when he is in one-on-one or in multilateral meetings.
I think you're probably right. It's almost like a willful blindness. Now, we'll be talking about what are the concrete steps to peace after this short break. Don't go anywhere. We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.